All right, so it looks like we're live. As people are joining, I just want to start and welcome everyone for joining this webinar today. And should take a few seconds just for more attendees to arrive in the webinar. But as we're getting started, first of all, welcome and thank you as well. My name is James Alvarez. I'm helping to lead our product implementation team. Very happy to present this webinar today on some of our initial and advanced configurations of the platform. Joined here by my colleague, Or.
Hi, everyone.
And we're both very excited for this topic. And as you can see here, we're going to be walking you through the agenda. As I mentioned, initial and advanced configuration for us, the way we think of it is broken into two main areas. The first is our security features. And that's part which I will be covering and teaching some of the advanced security features that we offer. The second area is our networking features. And there's some very interesting and advanced networking features that we have released. So we'll be showing you the best and newest features of all the platform right now. And finally, the webinar will conclude with a Q&A. You'll notice that as you're on the screen, you should be able to submit questions in real time, and we'll hopefully catch them as they come in, but if not, answer them all at the end. So please feel free to use that, and we'll help to answer anything that everyone else is probably thinking. If you think of it, then everyone else is probably thinking it as well. All right. So, like I said, first things first, personal introduction. So my name is James Alvarez. I'm the Director of Strategic Growth for Perimeter 81. I have here my email. If you have any questions after or during, please feel free to send them over. I'm based in our New York office and happy to be part of the team for 3.5 years. So, Or, as well, is part of the team.
Hi, everyone. My name is Or. I'm a technical support engineer. I live in San Francisco. I've been with Perimeter 81 for about a year now. And I'll be happy to show you some cool technical stuff that we can go through together.
Awesome. All right, so first things first, we did mention that the security features are one of the main reasons behind Perimeter 81's platform. We give both these features in the platform. There's no line drawn anywhere in the platform, but that's why we want to define the features that we consider the most important for your security as you use Perimeter 81. So I've broken these into the three best and most important features that I've found over the years to be, in our platform. The first is a very new one. It's called DNS filtering. And DNS filtering is something that we've built, and it was released just about a few months ago. What it does is it will essentially allow your users to have their DNS monitored and blocked or allowing certain categories. So I'll delve more into that as I share the platform and teach you about what we do inside. Also, automatic Wi-Fi and security and always-on VPN. These have been around, but I think as we grow through the platform, we've seen customers adopting them more and more over the recent months because of the surge of usage when people have to work from home. And working from home or working on the road entails always connecting to public Wi-Fis. So automatic Wi-Fi security and always-on VPN can certainly help to cover that. So for the next part of this, what I will be doing is to share my screen and teach you a bit more about the actual platform. So let's go into this workspace of Perimeter 81. I'm assuming because we're doing the advanced configurations, everyone here already has access to their own workspace and you know how to navigate into the tenant. This is our primary demonstration tenant. And it will probably look familiar if you've done sessions with us before. That being said, where I will point to right now is in the networking area. And you'll have this little icon here. If you've used DNS filtering, you'll notice it's there. But if you haven't used DNS filtering, take a look. And when you activate it, you'll notice that each network indicates whether DNS filtering is turned on or if it's not turned on inside by seeing that little icon. Take, for example, this. If we were doing network access to our San Francisco office, the icon indicates that DNS filtering is not on. But let's imagine, as you're following through, you may see this in your own account, that you want to turn on DNS filtering for the first time. You'll turn this on, and what you'll see beneath this DNS filtering menu is actually the categories that you're allowed to prevent any user from getting access to. You'll see here these are generalized categories. These are built and curated by our DNS filtering feed. And these are important for you if you have a network and you have users bringing their remote devices and connecting through the tunnel back into your office. You probably want to keep certain things off your network, like a malware type behavior or anything that would overburden the network with potentially dangerous traffic, or just traffic that you don't need to overwhelm the physical firewall or any of your network. And once you have these, you'll be able to save it. Obviously, there's some exceptions to every rule, and that's what the whitelisting feature is enabling you to do. So if you work in one of those type of industries and you may, for example, want to allow that, you're still allowed to do that. Whitelisting is perfectly suitable. And blacklist is also used for other wildcard domains that you found to be malicious or something that you would like to prevent. And if we apply these settings, we'll notice that they're going into the network. And now this network has a new configuration, which it can be applied. Now, the other part of the platform I'll show in a very complex and well-built network. You'll see here that this DNS filtering probably has a few pre-built domains and a few different categories. But it is important to know that every network can have the DNS filtering applied with its own custom settings. And this follows in line with the entire methodology of Perimeter 1, which is customized network on a per network basis. And you can make these settings applied to specific employees. So the network will look very different depending on who you are and what your group and what your team assignment and role look like. Okay, so back into the network. I know I mentioned that DNS filtering was the first of 3 features that I will be talking about today. And as I finish the DNS filtering section, please feel free to send any questions. Next up in the security features is our always-on VPN and the automatic Wi-Fi security. You're actually able to find these into the general settings of your workspace. And you'll notice here that the automatic Wi-Fi security is including the description of what it does. The way I think about the automatic Wi-Fi security is that it's a passive security feature. You don't need to really think about it. Once it's turned on, it's sometimes, like we say, a set it and forget it security feature. And it can only really help you once it's turned on. The main reason behind it is to prevent your users from connecting to an unsecured public Wi-Fi. So let's say they're sitting in an office like we are inside of WeWork, and there's a guest network that might not have the same level of security as a full password protected network. And this happens quite a bit if companies are moving to work from home or they're sharing office spaces. And you'll want to make sure that this feature is turned on and then locked. The lock is important because every user also has in their platform the setting for themselves, and that can be configured on a one-off basis. But because my organization has this lock, I don't actually have the ability to set it on or set it off because it's enforced by my administrator. Now that is crucial. As you build these settings, it wouldn't be very effective if the users could just turn it off themselves. So that's why we built this lock here. Always-on VPN is a very similar feature with extremely powerful security. What this tells the computer of the user who's in Perimeter 1 is that they cannot get access to the internet unless the always-on VPN is activated. And when you lock it, they cannot undo those settings. I have it undone on my computer because I just need to show this as we're going through the demo. But most organizations that we work with are recommended to keep it locked and turn it always on. Now, when we do this, we should see a quick connection to one of our local regional networks. As you can see here, this will apply to the entire organization. In the future, there may be the ability to apply this on a per group or role basis, but for now, it is organization-wide. So if there's any questions about this, I would love to field them now or at the end. We can go through and dive more into detail, but I think that will be a very important place to start. If you don't have these settings turned on, I highly recommend. And as far as the platform is concerned, I know that this is not included on the official agenda, but as a bonus security tip, I want to talk about this, which is brand new, automatic logout of the clients. I've seen some organizations use this due to the requirements of PCI compliance, for example, which means that their users cannot actually be perpetually signed into the network. They're going to want to have them signed out and force a re-authentication after a predefined amount of hours or days. So you can do this for the users on the client, and you can do this for the web platform as well. So definitely want you guys to check that out and take a look, find where it's relevant, and if you have questions about setting this up, it may be available in your workspace currently. We're doing a rolling delivery of this feature, and if it's not, we can work on starting that for you soon. Now, that is the end of the security features. I will be moving us back into, for Or, to share about the networking. Take a look here at the networking agenda, and Or will lead you through this part.
All right, everyone. I'm waiting for the slide to pop on. Okay, so today on our networking section, we're going to go through site-to-site connections using IPsec and WireGuard. We are going to go through the split tunneling feature and the custom DNS feature. First of all, I would like to talk about why would a person establish a site-to-site connection. Although the security provided by Perimeter 81 Cloud is a main attraction, people would like to also get remote, secure access into the resources in their cloud or on-site location. If someone would like to do that, the first step to do it would be to establish a site-to-site connection. We currently have two technologies that we can do that with, which is site-to-site IPsec and the WireGuard connector, brand new WireGuard connector. Allow me to share my screen and I'll show you some examples. On this screen, we have our San Francisco network. This network has no tunnels currently, meaning when someone will connect to it using either the VPN client or our zero trust mechanism, they will get security outward towards the internet, but they will not have any access to local resources on an internal LAN level. Establishing an IPsec or WireGuard connection allows you to talk to the destination machines using a local LAN IP and not your external Perimeter 81 IP. Each network on Perimeter 81 is equipped with an external IP address, each gateway more correctly, and you can also take a look on the internal IP address by editing your network right here and checking out subnet. This is established at the point of creating the network. This IP address of the San Francisco office, once we have the site-to-site connection up either with WireGuard or with IPsec, will be able to talk to my local resources. Let me show you how this is done. Here in this workspace that we're looking at, we have one gateway that's established in the San Francisco region. If I click on the three dots next to the gateway, I'll be able to see the Add Tunnel button. Once I click on the button, I'll be able to choose the template type, either IPsec or the Perimeter 81 connector. In order to establish an IPsec tunnel, you would need to have a router device that supports IPsec VPN. That's the name of the feature. The connection with Perimeter 81 will be done with your firewall router and will connect on an external IP address using an encrypted connection to allow internal IP address traffic. If you would like to go with the WireGuard connector or the Perimeter 81 connector, you will have to establish a machine on the location, be it your site or the cloud, which will act as the gateway and will forward any traffic coming back and forth from the Perimeter 81 cloud to your local LAN using LAN-to-LAN communication. Here's how to establish an IPsec tunnel. You select IPsec site-to-site tunnel and click Continue. At this window, you'll have to select the name of your tunnel. I would suggest selecting a logical name that would represent your office. You can generate a pre-shared secret that will have to be defined on both sides of the tunnel for the handshake to be successful. If you would like to look at the secret, you can reveal it by clicking the eye icon. And afterwards, put in your device's external IP address. If you are using a netted connection, you will have to put in an internal IP address here for the firewall that is handling the connection. But if you are using a regular connection and you don't have any special netting between your networks, then simply put in the same IP address as you put in for public IP under the remote ID value. There are two types of IPsec connection. You can either connect your tunnel with a specific policy indicating the originating subnet on Perimeter 81 and the destination subnet on your destination device on your local site, or you can go with the route-based policy and enable the traffic for phase 2 connection to use any or 0000/0 to establish all traffic. Usually, you select the policy-based route and specify the subnet that you would like to reach inside the destination site right here under Specified Subnet. Once you are done with the first values, you can scroll down to Advanced Settings. These are the parameters that define the handshake for your IPsec tunnel. First parameter is your IKE version. Some devices support IKE version 1 and some support version 2. You can toggle between the two by clicking this button here. Make sure that the device on the other end has the exact same parameter for every value in this table. After you're done with this, you can set up the lifetime for your phase 1 connection and the lifetime for your phase 2 connection. The tunnel, on the other hand, must have dead peer detection enabled. That way, once the tunnel goes out, the device on our end will be able to detect it and try and bring it up again for any reason. The dead peer detection and timeout parameters can be changed freely, and so can any other parameter over here. So you can change it to be an hour, or you can change it to be by seconds, or you can change it to be basically either seconds or hours. And the possible ranges will be underneath right here as you type. Next steps will be selecting your encryption and integrity values. This has to be the absolute same on both sides of the tunnel. Once you are done, select Add Tunnel, and your device should be created. This normally takes up to 5 minutes, and you can track the live status of the deployment by hovering your mouse over the deploying button. So that is how you set up a site-to-site tunnel. Next on our agenda, we have WireGuard connector. WireGuard connector works in a little bit of a different way. We have a way to disregard the local router or firewall that you have in the office and instead connect directly to a machine in the office to establish the site-to-site connection by deploying something called WireGuard connector on a local machine, it has to be a Linux operating system at the moment, you would be able to create the same kind of connection. Let me share my screen again. Here you can see that our first Miami tunnel is set up, and there's an indication right underneath it whether it's active or inactive. Now let's go set up our WireGuard tunnel. I already have a Linux machine. This is the Ubuntu machine I'm using to show you this demonstration. And let's try and set up a connector directly to this machine. I would go through the same step as before, clicking on the gateway and the 3 lines and add a tunnel. And once I see this add tunnel screen, I will select the Perimeter 81 connector and click continue. Here, you will see a little bit of information on how to connect the Perimeter 81 connector. Notice that we have tested these specific operating systems ahead of time, and the Perimeter 81 WireGuard connector currently only works with the operating systems specified in this window. Once you're done, click Next, and you'll be able to set up the parameters for your WireGuard connector. Again, you have to choose your tunnel name. There would be a logical name that will specify your location. So I will call this let's call this tunnel by the name of my office. Okay. And to get your endpoint, you have to paste this value. We have a guide that will be step by step showing you how to do that. You'd simply paste the external IP address of your network. If you don't know that, you can put in this command. And it will show you your external IP address. First, you have to have all of these. I don't think I have some of those commands installed. So I've done this before. The IP address for the location that we are installing is going to be this. And now we have to select the subnet inside the location that we are trying to reach. The subnet in my location in this example is this. And after you are done, simply click Next and apply the configuration. This should be similarly 5 minutes until it's deployed. It seems to have been a little shorter last time. You can see live progress as it advances, and you can even hover your mouse over deploying to reveal the progress of this or any pending assignments on your gateway. Let's give it a couple seconds. While this is running, I'll open the terminal again. Okay. Get ready to get our next step. All right, currently this tunnel is down since we haven't installed it. The next step in installing a WireGuard tunnel will be clicking the 3 dots on the tunnel, configuration, copying this automatically generated command that we have here. You even have a copy command button, and pasting it inside your Linux terminal. Once this is done, you will go through the automatic script for connecting your location. You'll have to click yes. The first step will make sure that you have the correct operating system. The second step will actually install the WireGuard software on your computer. I already have this installed. The third step will help configure your connector. You can either put in a name for your interface or choose the automatically defined WG0 and choose the operating mode. There are two operating modes. The first of them is accessor mode. This does not involve any configuration from your router and firewall. This will have direct access to your LAN from this WireGuard installed machine. That is the most simple configuration, and that is what we're going to do today. Select the IP address that you want to use. What is the subnet that you want to get access? In my case, it's the first one. I just continue. And for step number 5, you click enter, and it will tell you if your WireGuard connector is been successfully configured or not. In case it is not configured correctly, it's going to tell you that the WireGuard connector is down, and you will have to review the steps that you have done or contact support. The command WG show will show you the active connection with the server. As you can see, the machine I have just installed was receiving data from the server 31 seconds ago. According to this, if I refresh this page, you can see that the San Francisco location is on, it's active, and it's reachable. In this current configuration, anyone that will use the Perimeter 81 client to connect to this San Francisco location will automatically be able to use any resources behind the San Francisco tunnel and the Miami tunnel once it's up on the other side. To review your defined routes, you can click the 3 lines on the top of the network and go to routes table. And here you can see which subnet goes to which tunnel.
That was a great demo, or
Thank you. Next up
really,
on our agenda is split tunneling. The split tunneling feature will allow you to only have access to a specified range of subnets. What does that mean? That means that, let me share my screen again. James was going earlier a little bit about these icons, but with these icons, you can just hover over them and see the configurations that you have. If you click on them, you should be able to configure them. Another way to reach the configuration would be to go to the 3 dots at the top and select this feature that you want to edit, in my case, split tunneling. So the split tunneling feature can basically force the connected device using the Perimeter 81 VPN client. It's only has to do with the VPN client and not with Zero Trust. You can define to only tunnel specific networks or to only tunnel your traffic through the subnets that you select here. Meaning in this current configuration that I see, if someone will connect to the San Francisco office location, they will not be using Perimeter 81 to go out to the internet. They will use their regular ISP to go out to the internet, and only this subnet here will be used through Perimeter 81, meaning only to my San Francisco location will this VPN client be used? It won't be used for protection outwards towards the internet. The split tunneling, this helps you save up on traffic, seeing as to how each gateway can only handle 1 gigabyte per second of bandwidth. This can help you manage access for your user outwards towards the internet. That's the internet. And a smart IP person would be able to manipulate the split tunneling feature to address the needs of their company.
We have a great question here, Or, about this. I think it's relevant because we're right on the topic, about the intersection of the DNS filtering and the split tunneled networks. So the question is, does the DNS filtering work with a split tunneled network? Does it not work with split tunnel network, or would the DNS filtering take precedence since users are connected to the P81 appliance?
That's an excellent question. Thank you, whoever asked that. So it does not collide at all. The split tunneling feature is a feature that only applies to the VPN client, while the DNS filtering and any DNS feature, even the custom DNS feature, is a feature that's applied to your built-in Perimeter 81 DNS. So that actually leads me to my next subject that I want to talk about, which is the custom DNS. So with your Perimeter 81 network, if I'll share my screen again, with your Perimeter 81 network already built in, you have a gateway. This gateway is your main event. This server handles your DNS, handles your DHCP. It has built-in DNS servers that will handle every hostname request from your client and from your zero trust applications, and from your sites too, if you're forwarding traffic through it. Basically, it will always be there. And if you're using the DNS filtering feature that James was talking about earlier, the filtering itself is done on the built-in DNS in your network. So it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the VPN client. I hope it makes sense what I'm trying to say. I'll show you in a minute what the example is. So currently, we're talking about infrastructure and how to set up infrastructure. That's the first step. The split tunneling feature only applies to the VPN client, which is one of two ways you can use the infrastructure. The infrastructure is a cloud infrastructure, and it's always up once you have the site-to-site up and running. The VPN client will be a way to access your network. And that's it. So let me show you a little bit about the custom DNS feature. So the custom DNS feature will be allowing you to forward any DNS request to your specified DNS server. Let's say inside my location, I have a server that is a configured DNS server. Once I apply this configuration on my network, all of the naming requests, let's say I want to go to google.com, will first hit the Perimeter 81 built-in proxy DNS, which will handle DNS filtering and all of these kind of stuff. So the DNS filtering is still intact, is not harmed by split tunneling, it's not harmed by custom DNS. So once you put in your custom DNS, it simply forwards all the requests from your built-in DNS server on Perimeter 81 to the on-site DNS server that you selected. Looks like it's already updated, and you can see a new icon right here with the custom DNS.
Very nice. We have a few other questions coming on here, which are related to the tunnel. So, or I want to just read them out for you. First one is, I think, pretty straightforward, but it's just a good clarification. The question is, can I have multiple subnets under one tunnel for different groups of people?
So those are two. I'd like to separate. That's an excellent question, and I'd like to separate that question into two. First of all, yes, you can have multiple subnets under the same tunnel, and you can have as many tunnels as you want. Tunnels are no charge. They're free. You can add as many connections to different sites as you would like from a single gateway. But and for inside the tunnel, you can have multiple subnets. That's no problem. But as for the second part of your question, whether you can kind of give access to different tunnels or different subnets with the Perimeter 81 interface. Currently, you're not. The access is defined according to the access group of the network. Let me show you. So in this network, for example, only members of the administrators group will be able to access the entire network. And the network is one entity, meaning anyone who connects to the network will have access to everything. All the subnets behind this tunnel, all the subnets behind this tunnel, and yeah, you can have multiple subnets inside it. Let's say in my San Francisco location, if I want to add it and add more subnets, I will simply go into here and add my secondary subnet. Done. Next, update your tunnel. It takes a couple of minutes, and that's it.
We have another related question, which is how can we assign users to different tunnels instead of having different networks and assigning them to the networks? Now, I think that's pretty close to what you just shown. Right now, it's based on the user group, not an individual user or an individual role. And that applies on the entire network, not on a per tunnel basis. I do have to say that I think that is a common request, so it's something that we're very aware of and hoping to build out new changes and ways to improve that. So stay tuned for future updates about those type of features as well.
Right. Yeah, so we are now adding the network level policies, the NPR feature. So that's going to be about what you're looking for. But at the moment, it's just the entity of the network as I showed you before.
Absolutely. Now, another question related to the network, and then I see here we have one question related to the always on that came through earlier. I want to rewind a bit and cover that. The question on the networking is saying just a few minutes ago, can two different customer Perimeter 81 networks be connected via the site-to-site tunnel? And that's a very good question. I've heard it before. And or maybe you can give some ideas about how to do that, if that is a suggestion that you recommend.
Okay. Can you, I'm sorry, I'm looking at where I can look at these questions. I'm not super familiar with this platform. Okay, so, all right. So what was exactly the question? How can you assign?
Yeah, I think if I were to rephrase it, the question is, can you connect, for example, two Perimeter 81 networks, like the production network and the staging with a tunnel between them? And I think that's something that I've heard before. I've not done it personally. Usually the reason for having two Perimeter 81 networks is to keep them entirely isolated. So if you wanted to have a combined network, what you would do is you would put multiple regions and multiple gateways with the tunnels within the same network. Otherwise, that would defeat the purpose of having the network in the first place. And that should make sense when you see this. Yeah. That should make sense when you see this type of network. Yeah, when you see this type of network, this is what we call our production network. It's the most complex type of network we've built to demonstrate the full capacity of what we can provide. So this network has, I believe, 12 different gateways over 7 different regions with close to 5 or 6 different tunnels. And you'll see the tunnel names are very different. It's connecting into several different types of cloud environment, several types of firewall, and the complexity can go as high or as simple as you would like. So those are built for you, and everything can go along your customizations. So hopefully that will answer that specific question about connecting two Perimeter 81 networks to each other. The last question, which is a really good question, it's if you see this or as well, it's about the always on. It says, how does it treat the SSO users? Currently, with our SSO, every time the user connects, they're asked to enter the credentials. Does the SSO cache the credentials so that they are not prompted to authenticate each time the always-on VPN connects? Now, that's a very good question. It does have a cache, but I think it depends on what provider you use. I can speak out of using our own, which is Google as the identity provider, and the single sign-on there for me will cache. So let me give an example of that if I can share my screen again.
So yeah, I think it is cached.
Yes. What I'll show
That's a
you is
great.
this. If I sign out and then I sign back in, you should see that I have a token here that remembers me in the organization. Let me try it once. I haven't done this in a week, so it's gonna take 1 second.
Yeah, I never have to sign back in. Once I'd sign the
Yeah,
ones, and it even yeah, even has a token like you're showing right now. It's gonna remember you
it's gonna
with
remember
your
me.
SSL.
So it knows that I'm a single sign-on, going in with my current account, and then I will show how it remembers this. Obviously, I'm doing this one time. It's based on the criteria that your org has defined. So not all of these may be things that you see in Perimeter 81's interface. You have to also be aware of what's going on behind the scenes in your identity provider. So that is crucial to know. The single sign-on will always override whatever settings you put in Perimeter 81 because it's inheriting those network settings from the device. So let me sign out now, and we should see this caching.
Yep.
I want to make it happen once more. I think this is because of the settings on our account, but in other accounts, it can remember it, and you shouldn't have a problem with that.
Yes, you have a yeah. We're using a special configuration. I'll show you in a moment,
Yeah,
James. After we're done here.
of course, of course. Now, let's see, there's a few more pieces of question here that we want to answer. One of them is right just now came through. The question says, we've tried to use the Perimeter 81 gateway IP to allow access to a third-party platform for access. As an example, Snowflake via AWS, meaning that anyone outside of the listed IP addresses cannot access it. But with split tunneling, it appears that all of the traffic destined for that resource goes through the user's local ISP and ignores Perimeter 81. Are we going about this incorrectly, or can we allow a split tunnel network to send traffic through Perimeter 81 to an outside resource? Great question. A lot of things to unpack there.
Mhm.
We can go into it. There's obviously more behind this that we'll have to know. Maybe it's even best to do it over a private session. But what I would say, and Ori, you'll probably agree with me, that the split tunnel, you would have to route that most of the time it's going to an internal IP address, not always an external. And if you have it going to an external IP address like Snowflake via AWS, then that IP address is being hidden from that resource because you can only split tunnel into an internal network.
Yeah, that's correct. So if you're just whitelisting on AWS, if you're just using the security group on AWS to whitelist your Perimeter 81's external IP address, you're basically, yeah, you're not maximizing the security that you can have on the platform. Basically, the safer method to do what you're looking for would be to set up an IPsec or a WireGuard tunnel into your AWS location and make the discussion, make the traffic go on a local LAN level from the Perimeter 81 network. You basically just whitelist the Perimeter 81 subnet afterwards on the security group on AWS, and that's it. After you've done that,
Yep, agreed.
it's a little more
So
secure.
yeah,
Don't have to
feel free to
traverse the internet. Yeah, sorry, I keep thinking. Go ahead.
no worry. Yeah, feel free to send us a ticket or an email about that, and we'll cover it. It sounds like a pretty specific one, so we'll be happy to go into it more. Got a lot of other great questions here. We can keep going. There's no real cap here, but want to make sure we get to everything. The question is, if a customer has a Perimeter 81 production network and they engage with a consulting firm that has their own Perimeter 81, how can they collaborate? So a few good parts that I can address. Perimeter 81 has the ability to build a multiple level network. You can see it in the platform. It's what we call the top level account and then sub level accounts. And if you have a consulting firm, what we can do is we can blend those two and let your consulting firm or whoever is on the outside helping the company or the end user directly to collaborate on that account. And it's helpful in the use case that we see many times with managed service providers who build out lots of networks for their customers. You can see, as Or is showing, the top level, which is our account that we're showing right now. And then beneath it, if you had many other customers, take any company that you may imagine to be a customer and have them added beneath your account. So we work with many people. That's a signature feature of the Perimeter 81 Partner Program, a good topic for some of our other great webinars. And yeah, if you have questions about that, feel free to email me. I'll route you into the right direction for a team to get that collaboration set up. Now, let's see, I want to make sure we got to everyone's question. I don't see any others here. Other than what we've addressed, I think just to leave some final parting words, all of these things are always customized. So what you do in your network will always be unique. So we always recommend to do a private session. If you have that time, feel free to reach out and we'll be able to do that and make good private customized suggestions based on what you have in your own unique environment. So that is really about it. And if you need our contact information, we have it right here for you. And also most of the updates about what we're doing as far as features in the company are being provided through LinkedIn, one of our biggest channels right now. And we have other methods as well to communicate, both through the platform, over email. And if you're on the platform quite a bit, you'll see them coming through on our notifications. So as far as this is concerned, I don't see any more questions. I want to end with a quick thank you from both myself, and the whole company. Appreciate you joining both now, or if you're watching this in the future, recording. We are always here to help, and it's really a pleasure for us to do this. So thank you all so much, and we're looking forward to the next time. And if we do that soon, you can reach us right here. Thank you again, and we hope everyone is well. Take care.